So how does it work? When you start working with a new client, what does
Yeah.
a typical roadmap look like?
Yeah. Two different types of customers. Some customers come in and they don't have really a security practice defined. They're doing things, yeah, of course, to help with security. In those situations where we're kind of either documenting what already exists and filling in the gaps that haven't been created, we do recommend using our risk assessment module to kind of design the right security posture for your business first. Once that's complete, our platform has a number of standards in it, and I'm not going to be able to mention them all, but just an example, we have SOC 2, we have PCI DSS, we have HIPAA, we have ISO 27001 and GDPR and 27701, a couple of the NIST flavors like CMMC and FedRAMP. So we have this real universe of standards in the system. Our control database is mapped onto all the standards. So the second you've said, hey, yeah, these are my 80 to 100 security controls that we are operating, we can tell you you're 90% of the way to a SOC 2 audit, or you're 75% of the way from an ISO 27001 audit or certification. And so that's a real power in the system. We can help you plan exactly the roadmap and certifications that you want to go after. When a customer is Now, we don't operate the security posture for our customers. That's one thing that we, talk about with them a lot is we're not the vendor that adds a firewall to your system or an encryption tier to your system or manages your pass keys. Those security operations, whether you're using vendors or doing it yourself, that's something that you need to do, and that's good security, and we want you to be able to do that. We're the umbrella, the data organization, kind of behind everything that you're attempting to do, and bridging that into the standards and to see what your completion is. Now, when you're ready to go into audit or assessment, StrikeGraph has our own assessment team, and we have built a fair bit of intelligent technology to automate much of the assessment process itself for both outcomes and efficacy and efficiency, both. And that means that when we're delivering a certification or audit, it happens very, very quickly and reliably. All the tests are repeatable that we performed. And so one of the things that's very innovative and disruptive about StrikeGraph is that we're really kind of eating into what was a traditional audit firm approach to really deliver technology with the right credentials and oversight to have valid and ethically delivered audits and certifications. That's very powerful for our customers because they only have one vendor, right? They're not both working with us and, let's say, like a PricewaterhouseCoopers or something along those lines. And of course, we're a product and technology driven organization. We see a lot of opportunity to improve these testing regimens with good technology.
Very good. Yeah, I'm kind of thinking, if a client has something like a Lepide or an Etrix or a Varonis in place, like an auditing and reporting tool that gathers all of that data that, essentially is great for auditing purposes, all the change management, all the audit logs from Active Directory and file server across hybrid environments. And we pride ourselves on being able to illustrate that in one pane of glass. And so the reports are easily exportable, all that good stuff. And the data's tagged after it's been discovered based on those various compliances. So you're saying where you would come in with StrikeGraph is you would have access to that data and compile it all.
Yeah, that's right. And so there's a lot of tools that focus on aspects of security, like data classification, for example. Mm-hmm. And when that's implemented and operating effectively, that evidence of that implementation validates the control operation that a customer wanted. So we're able to say, yeah, let's say that we were doing data classification and that's a critical control, and they point at Lepide or another solution that's, delivering on that classification result. There's two ways of getting the evidence into the StrikeGraph system. We do have a number of integrations where we can go automatically pull data out of cloud-based systems. And then, of course, a user can be reminded, let's say you're a DevOps professional, you may have responsibility for uploading a screenshot or an attestation or an example of some evidence for a control operation.
Fantastic. Okay, great. So obviously it's not a if, but when you're going to get audited, right? So
right, yeah.
as an organization. So what are some sort of big challenges and solutions that we have to achieving a clean audit or a certification? So one or two.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we saw in the challenges in the broad marketplace was kind of the capriciousness of the different auditors. That was one problem we wanted to solve at StrikeGraph. Even within a single audit organization, we'd have one auditor with one opinion and the next auditor with a completely different opinion. And so it's hard to, the problem in that situation is that you don't have reliable testing. And when you don't have reliable testing, it's easy to question the efficacy of the overall result. And so we felt like StrikeGraph needed to really lean into solving that particular problem. And so that's why much of our testing is written in code so that it is, deeply repeatable, and we can analyze how the test was operated and improve and track the improvements of the testing over time. And also, customer to customer, control to control, we're going to hit the same exact test over and over and over again to ensure the correct result. The other thing that we struggled with auditors was the cost. It's a consultative-based approach to the work. There's literally a human pulling up a spreadsheet, clicking open a screenshot file, reading the control, checking to see what risk it mitigates if they're reviewing the risk register. And that is expensive and takes a long time and is very costly. And so and really the problem there is that it keeps people out of the market. When these things are so costly, smaller organizations can't afford to participate. And that might be good for the big guys that want to keep you out, but it's actually bad for our whole marketplace, right? Because then we have a swath of companies that aren't meeting basic security standards and can cause issues and chaos and concern for buyers. We don't want that. We want a healthier marketplace where there's good trust and people can do business with each other efficiently. And so that is another concern that we had with especially the larger audit firms. And I think in some ways, StrikeGraph is disrupting that space, that traditional space with what we think. And I realize I'm a little bit of a broken record, but it's critical to me that the testing that we do is efficacious. It's effectively tested because we want to actually improve the quality of these certifications. We want to make them more valuable in the marketplace, not less.
Yeah, it's something that our CEO always goes on about, and in a very passionate way. Like, I can hear coming from yourself. It's you want a product that does what you say it can do in an efficacious way. You're not just kind of saying that it does something and then it doesn't.
Right, that's right.
So because then you can be proud of it, and then it sells itself essentially.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's interesting what you say also about the kind of reducing that friction, for those smaller organizations to really have access to these types of solutions, rather than being held to ransom by some market dominant player, which I'd say would probably fall into a similar space, because there is one sort of elephant in the room, but through our kind of dedication to providing a solution that just works, and also at a much better price point. Yeah, it might not have as many bells and whistles and a pretty wrapper, but I think really once we have a decent conversation with a client, it becomes very apparent that it does really work. So I think that's ultimately kind of what counts.
Yeah. Leading with product value is a great way to ensure a healthy relationship with your customer, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Always under promise and over deliver, right?
That's the classic CTO conversation.